Good afternoon po, ma'am. I'm about to recite the factors and their names. Factor 1, fibrinogen. Factor 2, prothrombin, perithrombin. Factor 3, tissue factor. Factor 4, calcium. Factor 5, proaccelerarin. Labile factor, accelerator globulin. Factor 6, among original factor which has been found not to exist or omitted or wala na. Factor 7, proconvertin, stable factor, serum, prothrombin conversion accelerator, and autoprothrombin. Factor 8, anti-hemophilic A factor, anti-hemophilic globulin, and platelet cofactor 1. Factor 9, anti-hemophilic B factor, plasma thromboplastin component, Christmas factor, and platelet cofactor 2. Factor 10, Stewart factor, Stewart-Power factor, and autoprothrombin 3. Factor 11, plasma thromboplastin antecedent and anti-hemophilic. Factor C. Factor 12, Hageman factor, contact factor, and the glass factor. Factor 13 will be a fibrin stabilizing factor, Lucky Laurent factor, the fibrinase, plasma transglutaminase, and fibrinoligase. Now for the non-aroma nomenclature, we have 2, the Fletcher factor or the prekallikrein, and the second one is high molecular weight kininogen, also known as the Fitzgerald factor, Williams factor, contact activation factor, and Fluja factor. Now for the intrinsic pathway, the activators are the chemicals, platelet, and collagen. So it will begin from the factor 12. Factor 12 will be activated and will be factor 12A. This factor 12A has a small amount, so it has to target the prekallikrein in the presence of high molecular weight kininogen. Then that prekallikrein will be converted to kallikrein, and the kallikrein in the presence of high molecular weight kininogen will produce a large amount of a factor 12A, and then that large amount of factor 12A will now target the factor 11. The factor 11 in the presence again of high molecular weight kininogen will produce a factor 11A. Then factor 11A will target the factor 9. Then the factor 9 in the presence of calcium will produce a factor 9A. Then factor 9A will target the factor 8. Then the factor 8 will be activated at magiging factor 8A. And then factor 8A will be adding calcium and phospholipid, which result to 9A, 8A calcium and phospholipid complex. Now this complex is now ready to enter the common pathway. Next is the extrinsic pathway. So for the extrinsic pathway, the activators here are the endothelial damage, silicon, and glass. So it will begin from the factor 7. The factor 7 will be activated in the presence of the tissue factor to have a factor 7A, which result talaga into a 7A tissue factor, and calcium complex. Now, this complex is now ready to enter the common pathway. Next is the common pathway. So, for the common pathway, it will begin from the factor 10. Factor 10 will produce factor 10A, then factor 10A will activate the factor 5, and the factor 5 will form a factor 5A, which result to factor 10A, 5A, calcium, and phospholipid complex, or known as the prothrombinase. Now, next is factor 2 will not be activated, but instead it will cleave and will result to fragment 1.2 and fragment 2. Now, let's focus on the fragment 2 because this is what is important. So, the fragment 2 will attach to prothrombinase, and then this will result to a thrombin. So thrombin has two different pathway of activation. So the first one is that thrombin will cleave fibrinase and have a result of a fibrinopeptide A and B, and fibrin monomer. The fibrin monomer, when it multiplies, it becomes a fibrin polymer. Then for the second pathway of thrombin is that thrombin will have factor 13. Then the factor 13 will be activated and produce factor 13A in the presence of calcium to give a stable fibrin polymer, which result to a which result to a stable fibrin plot. Now, in the laboratory, what we use is a 5M urea, and then the 5M urea is what we use to check if the clot is stable, and then the 5M urea is actually what we use to identify if there is a deficiency in the factor 13. Now, in the result, if there is an unstable fibrin clot, it will have a soluble 5M urea, while stable fibrin clot will have insoluble 5M urea. That's all, ma'am. Thank you po.